Welcome to episode 50 of the TMDSAS Podcast. This is your host, Enrique Hasso, the coordinator of the Texas Health Education Service. Thank you all so much as we've reached this milestone in podcast, episode 50. A special thanks to those of you who have shared this podcast with colleagues and peers. Getting the word out about this resource helps everybody who's involved in the process. Back when this podcast started, it was an opportunity to connect applicants directly to TMDSAS and admissions officers, and we've accomplished just that. In the coming months, we're very excited for some big changes coming to the podcast that will continue our mission to connect listeners to schools, TMDSAS, and advisors, and everybody who is ready to help the next generation of healthcare professionals. For today's episode, we have Cherry, Nicole, and Brendan from the TMDSAS office, who will answer the most commonly asked questions they are receiving regarding AP credits in the coursework section, changes that can be made to the application after you submit, and avoiding technical issues that hinder applicants. We close out the episode with a discussion on supporting documents and what you need to know to avoid processing delays. Since we cover so many topics in this episode, check the description for the timestamp where we discuss each topic. Let's go ahead and get this episode started. Today we are joined by some folks over at TMDSAS who made the trek all the way from the other side of the office to join us. So, would you mind introducing yourself and giving everybody your title? And just to make it fun, what song have you been jamming out to?
Hello everyone, this is Cherry Gonzalez. I'm the operations specialist for TMDSAS, and right now I've just been listening to Billie Eilish.
Hi everyone, this is Nicole Castillo, academic evaluator for TMDSAS, and Enrique, I am not ashamed to say that I've been listening to the Lion King album.
Nice.
Hey everybody, this is Brendan Tyler. I am an application support specialist, and I also deal with communications. I have been listening not to a song of late, but to a podcast called Case File. It's about murder mysteries. Check it out.
And I'm Enrique Hasso, and I have been jamming out to Lizzo all summer. And if you haven't, you definitely should, because it'll help you finish your application. So in today's episode of the podcast, we are actually covering the myriad of questions and concerns that have been coming into the TMDSAS inbox, that have been discussed in the online communities on Facebook at the TMDSAS Hub and the TMDSAS Non-Traditional Applicants group, and coming straight into the application messaging system. And so these are the folks that are at the forefront answering your questions. So to help them focus more on getting your applications processed and less time on answering questions, we're recording this episode of the podcast to address the most pertinent questions and the most commonly asked questions as of right now. So first off, we have Nicole, who again is the academic evaluator, and she's going to talk to us about AP credits.
All right, thanks, Enrique. So just a few tips when it comes to entering your AP credit. First of all, AP credit should be listed with the academic status of PF. That stands for pre-freshman. And you should only enter your AP credit if it is listed on your transcript and it's broken down into individual courses that include course prefix, course number, and credit hours. Another common question we have is, where should you list AP courses? If AP courses are not listed under a specific term on your transcript, we ask that you list them under your first undergraduate term. For many students, that will be their freshman semester.
Do you happen to know any of the schools that do that off the top of your head?
I think BYU does that.
BYU listeners, we are huge in Provo. Make sure that you take a look at your transcript, and your AP courses will not be listed on a specific term, and you just have to enter them as pre-freshman in your coursework section.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome.
An example of an institution that lists them throughout, for example, would be UT Austin. They list AP coursework throughout various terms. So in that situation, the applicant can choose to list their AP courses under the corresponding terms. We still ask that you designate those as pre-freshman courses, and that you list the grade as credit, CR.
Just a quick recap, because this is a very common question. If a UT Austin student claimed AP credit in their junior year, you still enter that in the term corresponding to your junior year, but it's entered as a pre-freshman PF course in the coursework section.
That is correct. So the designation for those AP courses, even in a junior term, would have an academic status of PF and a grade of credit. A situation in which you would not list your AP courses in the application is if they are only listed as lump sum on your transcript. This means that they aren't broken down into individual courses, nor do they have specific course information. We ask that you leave these courses off if they are not listed individually on your transcript. However, you can reach out to your registrar to provide a letter detailing your AP coursework, and you can submit this documentation to us in lieu of it appearing on your transcript. We accept documentation for AP coursework all the time. Just get in touch with your registrar. When it comes to dual credit, which is common for many of our applicants, we also ask that you designate that as pre-freshman, since you were dually enrolled in high school when you were taking these courses. We also ask that you list these courses under the granting institution. So in most cases, these will show up as transfer courses under your main institution's transcript. However, in many cases, these courses would have been taken at a community college or at a different institution. So we ask that you enter the granting institution, the place where you took these courses, and that you enter these courses under that institution.
Yeah, so, obviously dual credit courses only happen in high school. Remember back to high school, whether it be 5 years ago or it be, years ago, remember the school that granted those credits, and that's the school that you need to enter as a college attendant, and then assign a term that corresponds to when you took those courses, and then enter those dual credit courses into that term under that school.
That's correct.
Awesome. So you have some more great things to discuss with regards to coursework. This is one of the most commonly asked questions about semester hours versus quarter hours or units. Can you clear all that up for us?
Well, I'll do my best, Enrique. So when it comes to units versus hours, we would like to direct our applicants to their transcript. The back of their transcript usually will contain a conversion chart that they can use to convert their units to hours. For example, Duke reports courses in units, which then convert to hours. So 1 unit would be the equivalent of 4 hours in that case. With regard to quarter versus semester, there is an option in the application to designate a term type as quarter or semester. So the applicant can choose which term corresponds to their institution without the need to do extra conversion. So if you attend a school that operates on a quarter system, just choose quarter for the term type and enter your courses and hours as they appear on your transcript. And the same is true for semester hours.
So if I could ask a question, how does an applicant know whether they're in semester or quarter, hours, or units?
So the transcript will indicate whether it is a semester or quarter system. Another thing to note, typically schools that use a semester system will have primarily spring and fall terms, whereas schools that operate on a quarter system will also have a winter term. That's one of the greatest indicators that it's a quarter type system.
And the last topic that we are going to talk about with regards to the coursework section is this same question that keeps coming up is about the last time taken. Can you clarify that for us?
Definitely. Yes, this is a very common question, and we want to clear up any confusion. So To put it plainly, I'll tell you when to mark yes for last time taken and when to mark no. So, an applicant should mark yes to the question, was this the last time taken, if it was a class that they took only once, or if it was a class that they took across multiple terms, but not for a better grade. So examples of this include music courses, research courses, thesis, and athletics courses. When an applicant should mark no to the question, is this the last time taken, is if it was a class that the applicant withdrew from and then later retook, or if it was a course that they took multiple times but for an improved grade. I hope that clears that up.
And hopefully that those 4 scenarios will address most of the questions that we get.
Yes, hopefully.
All right. Well, if you have any more questions about coursework, we highly recommend this year's top best-selling, top of the charts book, the TMDSAS Application Handbook. It's amazing. Nicole played a huge part in its development and making sure that it was as robust as possible to give applicants not just the instructions, but also examples of how each section should be filled out. So definitely use that handbook to your advantage. It's got everything you're ever going to want and more.
All right, sounds great. Where can I get my copy?
It's available at TMDSAS.com, right on the homepage. All right, so moving on to our academic support specialist, Brendan. You are going to talk to us about some of the questions that you get a ton of calls about.
So yeah, I'm going to address kind of what it takes to fill out the application and any questions that you guys have about the application. That's a majority of what I do day in and day out. My first topic is going to be making changes to your application after submission. I'm going to read from our website the information that we have made available.
So you already set it up, Brandon, but I'd like to chime in and make this a challenge round for you, if that's all right.
Bring it on.
All right. So based off of the TMDSAS website, we have a section called Making Changes to Your Application in the Post-Submission section. And here we've listed every single section of the TMDSAS application and whether or not applicants can make changes to that section after they've submitted. So Brandon, since you've been fielding these questions on whether or not somebody can make changes, we're going to go ahead and test you real quick in a rapid fire. Yes or no? Can these sections be changed after submitting?
Perfect.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
True or false? Can these sections be changed after submitting? Cherry, can you count us down?
Sure. 3, 2, 1.
Account information.
True.
Oh, colleges attended questions.
True.
High school.
True.
Select schools.
True.
Disciplinary action.
It must be reported to TMDSAS.
Community service.
No changes.
Essays.
No.
Well, the good news is you passed.
I was worried.
While these sections can be changed after you submit, there are some caveats that students need to be aware of. Can you fill us in on those?
Yeah, so not everything can be done by yourself, especially the upload photo. TMDSAS, we will reach out to you if something needs to be changed with your photo. Otherwise, it's going to be on your application. For some of the things that are listed in the can be changed and updated, you may need to request after you've already submitted your application for those changes to take place, and we will do it on our end. And then others you can do on your own end. It's just, I would first suggest try to do it yourself. If you can't, send us a message. And you can always view this information on our website at the making changes to your application post submission.
Awesome. Now that you have Yeah, now that we've entered the Brendan Power Hour, let's talk about more exciting things like FERPA regulations.
Because I do deal with a bunch of the phone calls, that also part of it is taking your guys' parents' calls. I love talking to parents, but there's a law in place that protects student privacy, and for that reason, we can't go into specifics about the application. We can only answer general questions with phone calls received about applications. So basically, what we're getting at is if you have specific questions, just ask us yourself, and we can take care of it from there directly with you. And that about covers FERPA.
And as much as we'd love to talk to your parents, if we could refrain from that during the application cycle so that everybody can focus more on getting applications to the schools, that would be very much appreciated. All right, Brendan, we've got one more thing to talk about with you, and that is about saving off and to avoid any issues with losing any information on your application.
Yeah, so I get probably 2 or 3 calls a day about errors or losing essays within the application. One thing I would highly recommend everybody doing is if you're in the essay section, I know you guys like to kind of take your time with that, but I would just recommend saving every 10 minutes what you've input in the essay section to avoid losing anything that you have written in that section. It can be extremely frustrating when that happens. The next section also goes along with essays because you guys like to create something outside of the actual application and inside of like Word or some other similar system program. You will then copy and paste it over into the essays, which will sometimes, a lot of the times, will cause a special characters issue. That can be resolved by yourself. If you do copy and paste and that error pops up, all you need to do is just manually input that essay and it will be resolved.
Actually, that issue comes from word processor programs like Word that automatically indent your essays every time you hit enter. And so a tab space is not allowed in the TMDSAS application. And so when you copy and paste it directly from Word, it creates a special character error message. So if you are copying and pasting, you can manually remove all the tabs on there, and you should be able to copy and paste without issue. But just make sure you avoid copying and pasting special characters like that. And also make sure that the characters that you are pasting over are not over the character limit of each section, because it will cut off whatever it is that you wrote.
Yeah, that's a good point. And if you submit the application, there's really nothing that we can do if that happens. We definitely highly recommend before you submit your application, just reviewing the PDF version of your application. And you may catch something that has been cut off or that is an error within the essays that's really going to help you out.
And where can they get the PDF version of their application?
You can get the PDF version of your application on the home page in your application. There's going to be a blue hyperlink of the 2020 application. And side note, you can also find your PCR there after you submit.
And a PCR is
It's going to be your prescribed coursework requirements. So for each course that you enter within your coursework, they have a course coding. And inside the PCR, for the education requirements, the courses are displayed for how they're coded.
So the PCR report is visible to all of the schools on their end, and this report only lists the courses that are prescribed courses. There are other courses that you entered that are available via different reports, but this is the one that you have access to that the schools can view as well. And in addition to that, just as part of checking your application status. When you log into the TMDSAS application, you can actually click on application status and see the status of processing for all of your supporting documents, and also all of the different GPAs that are calculated. You get to see your undergraduate GPA, your graduate GPA. I think it's about 10 different types of GPAs that are calculated. But this gives you an idea of what kinds of GPAs are being generated. And the use for this report is actually for you to make sure that all of the courses that fulfill the prerequisites have been coded correctly and have been entered correctly. And this is how you can track whether or not you need to submit a course appeal or if you have any deficiencies. So, Brendan, what other technical issues can happen in the TMDSAS application?
That's a good question. One thing that I get a lot as well is not entering all your activities, and then you import the activities onto the Chronology and find yourself wanting to add another activity within the Chronology. Even though there's an error message that pops up right before you generate your Chronology that you won't be able to come back and make changes? Yeah. Okay. Whenever you go in and add an activity in the Chronology after it's already been imported, it'll cause an error. And that can be really frustrating for sure. Yeah. So just make sure you're very thorough in filling out your application and save the Chronology for one of the very last things you do, just in case you have to come back and add in some sort of activity or maybe another course. Because that Chronology is only generated one time. One more error that I get a lot, and you can find this information in the handbook, is when entering activities, if your activity extends beyond October 2019, where do I put that? Why does it have an error? So, if you start an activity that is currently done and ongoing beyond October 2019, you're going to put it in two spots. One is going to be in the current section of where you're going to put that activity. You're going to put the end date for October 2019. It's not going to allow any dates to go past October 2019. Then you're going to continue. You're going to put the activity in the planned activities starting from October 2019. That's how you take care of the equal year valid error that pops up. So 2 spots for activities that extend beyond October 2019 and start before, obviously. And it's really just that hard cutoff that current activities are input all the way through the application deadline of October 1st. And any planned activities will only go from October 1st through the estimated date of matriculation late next summer. All right, we have one more thing to talk about. Make sure that as you fill out the application, you are respectful of the severity of this application. It is not designed like a typical website. There are specific things that need to go in place, one right after the other. It's not like BuzzFeed where you can go in and open a ton of tabs like I do. It's something that can only be taken one section at a time. So if you try to go in and open multiple tabs or try to enter a coursework without entering a term that corresponds to it, you're going to get issues. So the best thing for you to do is to follow every single step that has been lined out for you in the TMDSAS application handbook and on the instructions on the website to help you get through the application as quickly as possible. Trust us, if there was a faster way or an easier way for you to get through the application, we would share it. But the application is very particular about how you can enter things, and it's designed that way so that you are able to express all of the things that you need to discuss in your application. So please treat the application with respect. As you're going through, you've been working to get to this point for years. Give it the time that's necessary for you to submit a quality application that's free of errors. And I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
All right. So if I can chime in with one final tip, And to avoid further errors in the application, we do not recommend that you have the application open in multiple tabs or multiple browsers. We suggest that you take a screenshot of a page that you would like to refer to and have that on hand as you continue working through the application.
Awesome. So moving on to Cherry, who is going to talk to us about supporting documents. Let's hit the first big one, the timeline for processing supporting documents here at TMDSAS. And actually, before we start there, if we could talk about what the supporting documents are.
For your TMDSAS application, your supporting docs include test scores, MCAT, DAT, as well as your transcripts and your letters of evaluation.
So let's talk processing times for each of those, because I know that's been a hot button issue this and every cycle.
Indeed. So just remember and be aware, and please be patient. For letters of evaluation, we have a 10 business day processing time from the time we receive it in our office. And for transcripts, we have up to a 21-day business day processing time. Test scores are done automatically, so just make sure that your ID for your test score, whether it be your dent pin or your AAMC ID, your date of birth, as well as your test date all match, and it will automatically match into your application. You can check the status of any dates of receipt on your application status page if you scroll down to the bottom.
A follow-up question is, how does a student know when their documents have been received at TMDSAS?
Okay, there are automatic emails that go out when a document has been uploaded as received into our system.
And that can take up to 3 days for test scores, up to 10 days for letters, and up to 21 business days for transcripts.
Correct.
Okay, so if somebody has not seen a change and is still within that processing time, they should not be calling Brendan.
Absolutely not. Just be a little patient with us. We don't work on weekends. Again, remember, these are business days.
Mm-hmm. We appreciate your patience as well.
And so with regards to the hierarchy of the different supporting documents, can we talk about which documents are going to be holding back an application from getting to a school?
No documents are holding up your application from being transmitted to the medical or dental or vet schools. We will process your application without your supporting docs. Once those documents are received, they are then sent to the schools.
So nothing's going to stop your application from getting to the school?
It does not.
Awesome. So the next question, and this is something that has come from the schools, is which documents do the schools need to extend an interview invite?
Enrique, only test scores and letters of evaluations are needed in order for the school to give you an invitation for an interview.
So when do the transcripts come into play?
Actually, transcripts are only really needed for validation of your application, and that process is done later in the season.
Starting in November.
So it's a while still.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So the GPAs and the courses and the grades that the schools all see right now and are extending interview invites for are not validated.
Correct.
And that's because each applicant has filled out the certification page that says that everything in the TMDSAS application has been completed to the best of their ability and the best of their knowledge, under penalty of not being able to receive an interview invite, to have a rescinded offer, and other consequences.
You are correct, Enrique.
It sounds really scary, but that's because this is a very serious thing. Again, this isn't just, here I go again, but this isn't just a BuzzFeed quiz. This is an application for professional school. And there's a certain level of trust that has to be involved with that, with the applicants. And there's a serious amount of work that has to go into place to make sure that all of the applications are presented to the schools in a uniform manner. And so that involves, downloading applications, manually making sure that courses are coded correctly, manually making sure that the transcripts that are sent electronically are actually for you. Registrars have to submit hundreds of transcripts every day. And so there's definitely plenty of room for error there. So we need to make sure that everything that's on your application and all the documents are all paired correctly. And all of that involves a lot of human labor and human capital. And so there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that causes, processing times like 21 business days. And everybody's heads are nodding now.
Snail mail.
Yep. So as a great segue here, let's talk about electronic transcripts, because that connects really perfectly here.
Okay, yes, Enrique. We take electronic transcripts from 3 different sites. We use eScripts, which is formerly Credential Solutions, Parchment, as well as National Student Clearinghouse. Just remember, there are certain requirements in order for TMDSAS to receive your documents in a timely fashion. 1, make sure that it doesn't have a 7-day expiration. If it was sent with a 7-day expiration, please have your registrar's office resubmit that to TMDSAS. Remember, our processing time is 21 days. Due to the large volume of documents TMDSAS is receiving, we will not be able to process that within 7 days. 2, make sure that your school does not have a view expiration. If we have received your documents and they have a view expiration, we will not be able to use that transcript for validation purposes. So please make sure those 2 things, very important things, are taken care of when you're requesting electronic documents to be sent to TMDSAS.
And so while we're on the topic of supporting documents, I know that there are some special considerations for Interfolio for those that submit their letters that way. Can we talk about that, Cherry?
Yes, we do accept Interfolio, and that's one of our biggest sites for receiving letters. Just be mindful of how you release your letters to TMDSAS. If you release one letter and you keep resubmitting that letter, it pushes you back in the queue. So please be patient. Give us the time to process those letters, and therefore you would be able to see them on your application status page as received or not received.
There are just so many documents coming into this office, and we just need everybody to be aware that it's not possible for us to stop the process just to go back there and find documents or supporting documents. So if you are very concerned about when something is received at TMDSAS, we highly recommend that you submit your supporting documents via FedEx or UPS or some sort of certified mail that gives you a receipt of when something was received at TMDSAS, because unfortunately we cannot provide that. All right, Cherry, let's talk about foreign transcripts.
Okay, a main question has been, does TMDSAS accept foreign transcripts? Yes, we do. There are 2 reasons why you could submit your foreign transcript. 1, it could help clear up your chronology. If you have a break and you did this over a summer period, that will help clear that up. You can enter that in your college's attendance section and submit a copy of a transcript to us. Just remember, if you can't get an official copy of the transcript from that foreign institution, by all means, send us a copy of your personal unofficial copy, and we will accept that.
Awesome.
So just to add a few thoughts to foreign transcripts, we would definitely accept foreign transcripts as an academic record to show coursework that was done at a foreign institution. However, we understand that it may present a hardship to some applicants to obtain an official copy of their foreign transcript. So as Cherry mentioned, we will accept a personal copy. And if that is something that is still not available to you, we can work with you one-on-one to find the best solution to your situation.
In that case, just send a message via the application service.
Correct.
And someone will get to you.
Last thing about messages. So because I do deal with a bunch of the phone calls and internal messages that you guys send to the admins, there's a target 2-day response period for us to get back to you. So yeah, we appreciate your patience, and we certainly are going to answer all the questions that are asked by you guys. Last note about questions that you guys have. We suggest asking your questions within the official messaging system, which is the internal system through your account and through your application. We appreciate your patience, and if you could allow us the 2 business day response to answer your questions, we would certainly appreciate it. There is no need to duplicate your questions. We'll if you've submitted your question, we'll definitely give you a response and help you out.
Well, I know it's after 5, but I really do appreciate each one of you for taking the time to address a lot of these common issues. I know at TMDSAS, you all really strive to make sure that customer service comes at the forefront and not at the expense of quality processing. And so I really appreciate that you all take the time after hours to come in and record this episode. On behalf of all the listeners, really thank you for...
Thanks, Enrique.
Most definitely. Thanks, Enrique.
Thanks, Enrique.
There was a ton of great information here for all of the applicants to consider. If you'd like to go back to a specific topic in this episode, refer to the timestamps in the description. TMDSAS is a proud affiliate of the MedEd Media Network, your source for information, inspirational, and motivational pre-med podcasts and more. We invite you to continue the conversation in our online communities on Facebook, the TMDSAS Hub, which is available for all applicants, current and future, and the TMDSAS Non-Traditional Applicants Group, which is available to all non-traditional applicants. On behalf of everyone here at TMDSAS and the Texas Health Education Service, we'd like to wish all the applicants all the best of luck. That's all for today. We'll talk to you later.
This is MedEd Media.